were not solid. I thought they attacked our feet. Randall and the pick and rolls was tough. They moved the ball side to side, put us in rotations. We did a much better job. In the second half, we changed matchups and cross-matched a little bit and got out of the coverage we were in. The coverage in the first game wasn't bad with that unit, and they did a better job. Give Minnesota credit. They attacked our feet. They got in the paint. Once they got in the paint, we were scrambling in rotations. We tried to zone them. That didn't go well either. And so we eventually got to the cross-match, which was much better than the first two things we tried. So give them credit. We had a great first quarter. They had a great second quarter. And the game basically restarted from there.
You said recently after the Spurs game just how much you trust Nikola's floater. What was your perspective on the last play where he kind of passes out of it there to Christian and he draws the foul? Yeah,
I mean, you always want him to shoot that shot, but he sees what he sees out there. He's playing, and if he sees his teammate open, he's going to make that play. And I trust CB to make free throws. I mean, rimmed out, that happens in the NBA. You're going to have moments that you don't want to remember. I mean, that's a tough moment for CB after playing such a good game. He was all over the place in this game, has so much responsibility on both sides of the ball. So I feel for CB, and I trust, the best player in the world to make the decisions he makes. He saw CB. That's what the decision he made. So I know Nikola will have his own comment on that, but, the decisions he makes in a game are always unselfish. They're always for the right reasons. And like I said, I trust CB to make those free throws.
David, Jamal looked a little fatigued there in the fourth. I know it was a heavy minute total there. Was there any consideration to having someone else bring the ball up the floor and maybe try to spell that particular effort?
Yeah, I mean, we did. Aaron brought it up a little bit. I thought then Aaron got spent a little bit too. We had different iterations of people trying to get the ball up the floor, and he definitely was tired. I thought most of the people out there were really tired. Jamal has a ton of responsibility. And I try to get Aaron to bring it up a lot. And, that's a wear and tear thing for him as well with his size. We lost this game on second chance points. I mean, every time we had control of this game, we get a free throw rebound, a really soft, crash from the corner. Nobody touches anybody. I mean, 20-3 in a playoff game is, in a hard-fought game like that where you work so hard to get a stop and then just give up second chance points. It kept them in the game. Every time we made a run, I felt like that's what stopped the run, and that's something we have to clean up as a team.
David, how different does this series now become tied up 1-1 as you head to Minnesota?
Preparation-wise, it doesn't change anything. If you're up 2-0 or you're down 0-2, you just learn from the next game. So to me, we go to Minnesota, and it's only about Game 3. It's not about the fact that the two games are there. That has no meaning to me. You just prepare to win Game 3, and you see the outcome from there, and you move on to the next one. That's what these series are. You can be really down tonight, and we were really up Saturday. But you have to just keep your temperament where it's at, understand these games ebb and flow, and we can play better. We know that. We can play better from Game 1 that we won, and we did some things tonight in Game 2 better than Game 1, and we lost the game. So you have to build off the positives from this game and learn from the mistakes.
David, Joker, and Jamal struggled to shoot in the fourth quarter, I think 2 for 13. Is that one of those where it's just you trust them, we've seen them do it in the fourth quarter, or is it like we need to hit the drawing board a little bit, maybe change some things up?
No, I want them to shoot the ball.
When Rudy picked up his fourth, Nikola kind of kicked into a more aggressive gear there in the third for sure. Is there anything that you guys just feel like you could have done differently to kind of establish him more in the second quarter when he was out with 3 for some of those minutes as they were making their run?
You're talking about Nikola?
Yeah, in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think we tried to. I think to your earlier questions, going inside is one thing. Getting the ball to him is another. And I thought the ball pressure got to us a little bit. We were trying to run specific sets to get him on the block or to the nail. And a lot of those things end up with Nikola having to handle the ball. And when he has to handle it, that takes you out of things to get the ball inside to where you want to go. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Just like, with Ant, we're doubling him every single time. And so if guys are in foul trouble, sometimes it doesn't matter, if we're impacting him defensively. And I thought they impacted our other people, which made it hard for us to facilitate the ball to him in places we want to get it to.
You spoke before.
119, 114, and Anthony Edwards, fellas. If he has a knee injury, I couldn't tell tonight. He had 30 points tonight.
Yeah, and he went to the rim kind of repeatedly. I thought he did a little bit of this in the first game too. When I kind of reviewed his film in the first game, I think the Nuggets did a better job of walling it off so that he couldn't just be persistent about being in their paint. But today, I think he just was a little bit more just intentional of not being deterred by a single defender or bodies behind that defender. And I do believe that Minnesota has a really nice counter to double teaming, and so getting him off the ball and then getting him back on the ball, then getting him quick and downhill. So he was more intentional about being aggressive, and it showed.
Yeah, he's really good, and the fact that he can make threes out there, then he can drive to the basket. I thought he had much more lift tonight.
Yeah.
He looked speedy going to the basket. He was a star.
And they played him a ton of minutes for a guy who's supposedly injured.
I thought he was wearing down. I think I said to Demps, like midway through the third quarter, he came down slow one time. It looks like he's getting tired because they played him a bunch in the first half, but no, that wasn't the case.
Well, and you see that some of his finishing around the rim.
Yeah.
I mean, he missed a lot of layups. I mean, that's just. But I think that's where the knee injury shows up, right?
And it's also, he hasn't
he's,
played as much down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, that was the entirety of the game. Like he was
Yeah.
missing some of that stuff,
Yeah.
and he can blow by a guy, but then now explode to the rim, and a lot of those were short. So but he still ended up with 30.
All right, let's go downstairs. The Nuggets find themselves deadlocked with the T-Wolves. Here's Coach Adelman, your Advent coach's comments.
Yeah, I mean, we just